How's everybody doing tonight? Give me a one in the chat if you can hear me. Ooh, I'm struggling today. I am not feeling the best. I think I ate something. Shout out to my man Chris. Shout out to my man Ty. Shout out to Shango. I wish I was a doctor, man. Shout out to the PhDs of the Manosphere. I go check those guys out a little bit. So check those guys out. What is Big Discussion 76? The doctor in chemistry. So I'm usually over there hanging out with those guys. Shout out to Angelique for joining us. Definitely a long friend doing big things with the NBA and the PMP. So shout out to her for joining. Shout out to Chris Whitlock being gracious to share study GRC with me. So I'm always over there helping those guys do big things. They moving on without me. They streaming 9 days a week, man. They doing it big over there. So definitely go check out Study GRC. If you want to, Chris, you can drop your channel. Let's get started. It's gonna be short. AWS GuardDuty. GuardDuty is threat intelligence. People are familiar with the MITRE framework. This is AWS implementation of the MITRE framework, and we're going to go through it. They actually look for TTPs, techniques, Russian attacks, cyber attacks. So that's really what GuardDuty does. It's more SecOps and DevSecOps, but as far as GRC people, we do need to be knowing those services and frameworks. And we're going to look at from a NIST 800-53. Everybody know that's my specialty. What security families does GuardDuty hit, right? So that's kind of what that is. And people know I'm trying to finish up the course. I've been working on it forever. I got to get with Dr. Ozier. There was a lot of standards that I was violating. So he's going to hook up a script, just introductions and side things and I guess labeling certain panels and stuff. PBL didn't do a good job on that. So get with Dr. Ozier and he's gonna help me out with that. So, but definitely do the free stuff. Check out my channel. I got a compliance framework. So definitely check that out. I think I got about 70 hours in there now of government compliance. So for the new people here, my specialty is government compliance. I worked for DOD for 11 years in the state of Indiana for 9 years. So I'm usually doing federal compliance. My specialty is doing IRS federal compliance, making sure their systems are hard and policies and procedures, and basically to have your project package to give to the IRS, policies and procedure plans, business impact analysis is like 1,000 pages. So we kind of walking through what is included in those pages. So when I'm working on my course, I'm kind of breaking those down, giving you templates to use so you can just kind of fill it in. So in my course, we're going to walk through what you should fill in to do a NIST 800-53 package. So, but once again, I got 800 videos on my channel on YouTube, and I got a compliance playlist with about 60, 70 hours. So I always tell people check out the free stuff before before you pay something, you know. So people know I'm frugal. I grew up dirt poor in the hood, so PBO trying to be frugal. So let's go and get started. Shout out to my man Todd. We usually chopping it up at least once a week. Shout out to Game Over, definitely one of the day ones. Shout out to Marvin. Thanks for joining me. Once again, we know how you do it. If you got any tech questions or cybersecurity questions, put them in the chat. If I can't answer them, we got a lot of big time people in the chat box that definitely can help you. But once again, put your tech questions and your cybersecurity questions, your NIST questions. Just put them all in the chat, and we can get to them. Once again, just trying to get you a new skill set or add on to the skill set. Or if you're trying to get into GRC, see if I can answer some questions and head you in the right directions. A lot of times, my man right here, Chris Whitlock. Once again, I got the Discord. I'm usually in the Discord. If you add me, that's like the bat signal. I'll come and answer a few questions. Chris help me out. I'm old. I don't be moving well in Discord half the time. I'm like, did somebody send me something in Discord? So, but shout out to Chris. He be helping the old people out. But let's go and get started. Once again, AWS GuardDuty. We know the cloud is the future. It's the cloud, and AI is coming right behind it and moving quick. So I always tell people get in somebody's cloud. AWS is my specialty. I got a few certs in that. Azure is big time. Google's right behind them, and Oracle, you know, got part of that $9 billion bid. But once again, getting you some cloud skills in there, becoming cloud aware. That's kind of what I work on my channel now. We doing the NIST 800-53 federal compliance, and most people have their services and their architecture in the cloud. So that's how we putting those two together. We doing federal compliance in the cloud. I sometimes on my job, that's what I do in real life. You hear me coughing? Coughing. Oh, okay. IBM, yeah. IBM's in there. They kind of fell off a little bit, but yeah, IBM's always in there. They're really focused on a hybrid cloud. But if you look at the $9 billion federal bid that came out, only 4 companies won the $9 billion federal bid. That was AWS, Azure, Google, and Oracle. So that's why I didn't mention IBM. But IBM is not a bad cloud. But I would go with probably the big 3. Then I will add on the other ones because really you're going to need to be multi-cloud in the future. Most companies are doing multi-cloud. They got their Office 365, then their developers like AWS. Then a lot of times I was working with a company. We had a couple special service packages that was SaaS software as a service, SaaS, that was actually running the Oracle cloud. So we were actually running multi-cloud. I think multi-cloud is a future song goal. But now I will pick up one of the big 3, then add IBM on the back end. People forget IBM was the first one with Watson. Really, they really kicked off the AI battle. They just didn't take it to the level of the ChatGPTs and the rest of them now. Gemini and those guys, right? So, but now they were really the first one with the Watson for medical services. They just didn't take it to the consumer part. Once again, we're looking at the 3 tiers. So we're looking at different architectures in the cloud. And we're going to drill down a little more in the future. So this is a standard 3-tier web architecture. This is serverless. A lot of people running serverless in the cloud, especially in AWS and Azure. Then everybody's running containers. Shout out to Docker and Kubernetes. So you got to get up on your containers. So that's one thing I'm going to start drilling down into on my learning is containers. How to do an assessment on them. How do you make sure they're secure? And how do you make sure they're compliant? Because the cloud and the containers in the cloud. So I think that's definitely in the future, if not now. So there you see it right there. Amazon GuardDuty is a threat detection service that continuously monitors your AWS account and workloads for malicious activity and unauthorized behavior using machine learning, anomaly detection, and integrated threat intelligence. Helps meet the compliance. The big dogs, number 1, NIST 800-53. PCI DSS is for credit cards. FedRAMP is really NIST 800-3 in the cloud, and CIS benchmark. Shout out to Dr. Osh. He was doing his lunch and learn today, talking about the CIS 18, I believe. So once again, we want to make sure if you're in AWS to the cloud, whatever federal compliance you need, we got a service for you. So is it mostly CIS benchmarks? Now, since I do federal work, for me, it's mostly NIST. Mostly NIST CSF or NIST 800, Jupiter. It really depends on what type of data classification your business is in. Once again, I live in that federal space. So if it's in a federal space, you're going to be doing NIST, NIST 800, NIST CSF. You've probably been at PCI, FedRAMP, and PCI DSS because most companies are doing credit cards. So then, shout out to my young man before the billions doing big things, becoming a keynote speakers. I see him making moves. So shout out to him. So let's get going. Once again, at GuardDuty, if you're familiar with MITRE, we talk a little bit about the MITRE framework. MITRE is an excellent framework, but they talk about attack vectors for internal, external, and basically nation states. So once again, GuardDuty took those frameworks from MITRE and actually put them into implementation to do it, I guess, and I call it real life. So, but yeah, so we're gonna dig down in that a little bit. There you see it right there. In this 800-53 control families, there's actually 20 security control families. I guess I should have listed them. But the ones that GuardDuty actually hit is AU, audit and accountability, detects unauthorized or anonymous behavior using the CloudTrail and VPC logs, incident response, detection and reporting and response to the incidents, detects and integrates with Event Bridge. We're gonna look at Event Bridge and do a little automation in the Event Bridge. What I did is took a hot finding from GuardDuty and sent myself an email. So we go and look at the Event Bridge, look at the JSON, look at they call it SNS, which basically email service, or you can send it to a pager and send yourself email. System integrity monitors system for signs of attack. Access control manages and monitors access. Risk assessment identifies and announces security risk. Configuration management maintains security configuration. Security assessment, continuous monitor evaluation of controls. Physical environment protection indirectly mostly handles by AWS physical infrastructure. So once again, when we talk about AWS GuardDuty, we know when we're talking about our system security plan, we got to hit the security families. GuardDuty helps us um, implement the security families for our SSP. And when we get audited, they say, what do you do for auditing? We got GuardDuty, CloudTrail, and VPC logs. Once again, GuardDuty looks at those logs and see if we're being attacked by a foreign agent. All right, incident response helps us find out it's an incident. Once again, we can send out response automation. But once again, that's the GuardDuty and what NIST security families is actually hitting for. Shout out to my man before the billions. All people got to get out the way, man, and let the young dogs run. So shout out to Chris. Shout out to before the billions. Shout out to Game Over. I see the young people in here running. Oh, shout out to Jim R. I miss my man Jim R. PB on the GuardDuty. Yep, GuardDuty a little bit, just at a high level. Once again, this is more SecOps, security operations. They probably run GuardDuty. Us as GRC would have reading there. We would make sure if there was findings, make sure if it was an incident, because we're responsible for probably activating the incident response plan. Who do we call? Who do we need to notify? If we're in a certain state, if it's IRS data, we got to call the IRS and let them know we have an incident. So GuardDuty to kind of let us know when it happened, what time, and what kind of incident it was. So that's kind of how GuardDuty helps us with those individual families. Once again, if you got any tech questions or cybersecurity questions, put them in the box. We're gonna keep rolling. Once again, it's kind of short, more SecOps, but once again, as GRC practitioners, we need to be aware of a lot of these services because sometimes we might ask them, "You're at AWS, why you're not running GuardDuty?" Or from a NIST perspective, we believe you need to run GuardDuty or something like GuardDuty, right? If you're running it down to SIM, Archer is not a SIM. Splunk, if you run it down to Splunk, Splunk will have their GuardDuty products on top of it to do that type of work. But you need to have some kind of monitoring once again for detection for those type of attacks. Once again, all right, GuardDuty analyze data from these logs, VPC flow logs, DNS logs, CloudTrail events, EKS for Kubernetes, S3 for data events. S3 is the object file system. And malware scans for EC2 and EBS. EBS is basically block storage that goes in your EC2. That'll be your file system, right, from your EC2. So those are the things it looks at to figure out, once again, if we're being attacked internally or externally by a foreign adversary. It detects threats like unusual API activity, crypto mining in your AWS environment. That could make your bill run up. Access from unknown malicious IPs or countries, privileged escalation attempts, suspicious S3 data access, literal movement inside your EKS would be your Kubernetes in the cloud, and compromised AIM credentials. Well, so that's the things GuardDuty looks at to figure out if you're being attacked. And sometimes, once again, foreign nations attack you. So it looks at their technique. Do they go to your Active Directory? Do they go to your AIM? How do they move laterally? Certain nation states have uh, a technique that they do that MITRE has mapped out. The GuardDuty, once again, sits on top of that MITRE. So how does it work? We're going to go into the console and actually look at GuardDuty a little bit. Enable with one click, no agents required. GuardDuty, we looked at the logs that it looks at. It just logs automatically and analyze behavior patterns. When threats are detected, it generates findings with severity levels. Findings are viewable in the GuardDuty console. We're actually going to definitely look in the GuardDuty console. Exportable to Security Hub, CloudWatch, or Event Bridge. We definitely probably going to Security Hub too, since it's the one pane of glass for all our findings. So we're definitely going to go to the console and check those out. Common integrations, Security Hubs. We talked about that, centralize the findings. Amazon Event Bridge, automate remediations. You can auto disable access to keys, run custom logics when threat are detected, send findings to storages or third-party security tools. So a lot of times too, if you think your EC2 or your VM is compromised, you can run an event bridge to actually send it to a different subnet, take it off the internet, take all the ports that it would try to use, and you can actually lock it down. You can actually run your incident response runbooks, which means flush your memory to disk, flush once again to your disk, take your keys away, take all the logs away until you're really getting ready for your red team to come on board and do forensics on it. So you can automate that process for you. So it will go through all the steps of getting it ready for forensic analysis. Let's see if we got any questions. I'll drop the link if anybody wants to come up. I don't, it's not a lot of slides. And once again, from a GRC perspective, we're just gonna look at a high level. Once again, this will be more security operations, development, security the DevSecOps development, security operation, right? And operations more than in a GRC perspective. But we talked about that. GuardDuty uses the MITRE attack mappings in its findings to help you understand what kind of attack technique was likely used. An example findings might show tactic privilege escalation, technique created or modified systems. It shows you the technique inside MITRE. T1543. This helped the SOC team align their detection and response strategies with the industry standard model. So once again, if GuardDuty can tell you the MITRE type attack, then the SOC team will have probably a run book for that particular attack. Because once again, MITRE's pretty good about this is the attack, and this will be your remediation for that type of an attack. But once again, GuardDuty helps you analyze what type of attack in MITRE, so you can kind of figure out what type of remediation you should use from your security operations center as the SOC. So that's kind of how those two goes together. Once again, GRCs in their monitoring stuff, doing a notification of breach or incidents. So that's the part GRC would handle. GuardDuty detection tool. Once again, might attack the framework to understand how attacks behave. We were just talking about that. Together, they will help you detect, categorize, and respond to threats more intelligently. Right? You don't want to be running around with uh, your hair like chicken with your head cut off. It'll help you once again realize where you need to go, realize what type of attack, and once again, Myra would walk you through remediation. So I might do a video of that, showing that incident response, showing that from uh, AWS config for compliance, inspector for your CVEs, and guard duty from your intelligent tax. You will use all three of those, right, to help you figure out, once again, where your breach came from or your incident. So kind of using all those tools. Once again, GRC will be in there, notify people, but the SOC's got to do their thing. If you got forensics, shout out to the red team. They would come up and do their things. Well, really, it's all the teams working together. I think from a GRC standpoint, we just need to understand all that. So let's go to the console real quick. Once again, I said just gonna be short slides for me. Let's go to, once again, put any questions in the chat. We're gonna go to the console and actually look at it. Shout out to Chris. I gotta make it more of a lab type thing, but we're gonna definitely look in the console. Make sure the console's showing up. So there it is. We're in the GuardDuty console. I just got one small EC2 out there. There was one finding. So there will show you the summary. So let's scroll down. We have just a low finding. So PBO's environment is looking pretty good. It's policy AIM user root credentials. I used the root thing real quick just to get a finding because once again, I should have spent up I guess a fuller environment with some EC2s, load balancers, um, probably RDS. I love Postgres. I really like Oracle. It's just too expensive. So API finding was invoked because I was using the root credentials. So I was just talking about using those root credentials. I shouldn't be doing it. So it's trying to figure out, since I'm supposed to have those locked down, it's trying to figure out if that's a bad guy that actually got the root credentials. So once again, after this, I usually shut down all of that. But so it shows you the target, it shows you the root, it shows you GuardDuty. I just kicked it off 25 minutes ago, and it was a low finding. Then two is I actually kicked off. That's the EC2, which is just a VM side AWS inside my network. It was clean. I was surprised. So it says my EC2 for malware was clean. So once again, it's part of let's get the light. I appreciate you, Sango. So from a NIST standpoint, let me make that a little bigger. You would that ask you about your vulnerability program, your compliance program. This helps you in all those plans and stuff you're responsible for inside NIST. We could say we run in GuardDuty, AWS config, and AWS inspector, right? For those different programs we need to run inside there. Let's see. So it just tells you I'm on a 28 free trial. So these are the different protections. We talked about the S3, the EKS, extended protection, run monitoring. But the big one is really is the summary of findings. Hopefully, if you got any criticals, you need to get those first, knock those out. Once again, part of your vulnerability scan, we will look at these. If it was critical, a lot of times you're supposed to fix those in 30 days. So I would get those to the cloud team and say, we got a vulnerability. This is how we need to fix it. Can we get it into a backlog and a sprint for that to happen? Shout out to my friend. Let's see where she went. She probably dashed out. Shout out to Angelique. But that's where we get our PM to work. A lot of times, I don't like arguing with the development team, so I send it to the PM. So I give the PM the criticals, what they need to do. And a lot of times, PM, if you work for a large organization, they have a project management office, and their job is to get all those things fixed for the org. So a lot of times, if I don't want to argue with the cloud team and the development team, I send them to PMO because they got a little more weight, usually a lot of times in GRC, and even security, because we always talk about the business and making money. The PMs usually have the money and the budgets for certain things and when they need to get done and why they need to get done. So a lot of times I get that together and I ship it up to the PMs and kind of give them the layout what they need to do from a project management standpoint. From a tech spot, I have it laid out about what architecture we want to use, what's the standards for the org. A lot of times too, I'll meet with the development teams, but I don't want to argue with them. So I send them to the PMO office. Once again, if you work for a large organization, a lot of times for a small org, you're going to be the PM a lot of times for that. Which is a good skill. Oh, she's still she's there. But so yeah, a lot of shots. So we would give it to the PMO. Once again, people know I worked for DOD for a long time in the state of Indiana for a long time. Those large organizations with over 2,000 individuals, I worked for finance in DOD. We had 40,000 people in our division, so they actually had a project management office, and once again, they had a budget, so they make all that happen. So from a GRC perspective, sometimes from a large organization, I give them to the PMs. So I would argue with people sometimes. So once again, the PMs have a little more weight. So once again, let's look at that quick. That's the individual findings. Once again, we looked at it. I was using the root credentials, which I need to stop doing that. Sometimes I get lazy. So let's look at my favorite one. Let's look at Security Hub. Real quick, that's the one pane of glass. It gets all the integrations. So there's Security Hub. Once again, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. There we go. PBO looking good. That's the NIST 800-53 score. Right there, that's the 86. That shows us the things we need to get fixed. Remember, Security Hub shows all the findings. It's the one pane of glass. So here's some more controls. I'm spending. Once again, we 86%. We 299. That's for the NIST 800-53. But here's all the findings. Security group should need not allow unrestricted. Once again, the root user access keys should not exist. So once again, we would take all those findings. And if we go integration, let's find our GuardDuties over here. That's the config we looked at. We looked at GuardDuty. We looked at inspector. Probably next week we look at detective. But there's GuardDuty. We're accepting findings. We can see findings. Once again, this is our one pane of glass. I think it's going to take us back. So that's the one finding we had. So once again, Security Hub's putting all the findings in one location so you can find them in one spot, right? One pane of glass. So that's the finding we once again see it in Security Hub. So USA East. Once again, I started it 2 days ago. I signed up for the free service. Once again, checking on the GuardDuty, checking on the threat intelligence. Once again, backed by MITRE. Then let's look at one other quick thing. Let's look at the Amazon Event Bridge. This is the automation we were talking about. I put one quick automation in there. GuardDuty findings for email. So if you look at the event, remember every time we do the findings, it puts it on the event bridge for automation. So basically I said AWS GuardDuty. Let me make sure that's showing up. Let's make that a little bigger for the old people, being me. So let's look at the JSON. So what we're saying here is we saw the one finding. Look at that GuardDuty findings. Any severity findings greater than 7. It's high security. I think it's using the CVE from 10 down to 1. So anything greater than 7 would be a severity finding. So the event bridge would see it. What I said is the target. PBO topic is just an SNS. It's just going to send me an email. We can look at it real quick. Monitoring. Since it just started, I haven't reran it. It hasn't really sent anything to email, but let's just look how it was set up. Let's see, GuardDuty finding email. That's the, once again, the JSON to take that finding we were looking at and send it out in an email. And that, to be honest, that was a low finding, so it actually wouldn't be sent email. But anything greater than 7, it would target. PBO topics. Let's go to PBO. I probably need to reshare that another screen. Let's look at the PBO topic. Oh, there. That's the PBO topic. Let's look at it real quick. Yeah. If you look at that PBO topic we send it to, it's an endpoint. Is the email. It's confirmed, and it shows you right there that it's an email protocol. So once again, once you hit that JSON, once it's high vulnerability, it'll go to the SNS and send me professorblackops@gmail.com. It'll send me an email. That's me confirming that my email was good when I set it up. So basically, that's the small automation. But once again, we can get fancy and have it take the EC2 offline, put it on a different subnet, lock it down, flush the memory, flush the open files, and we probably do that in the lab and get it ready really for the forensic/red team. Shout out to Jupiter Thousand Ice. Glad you can join me. So that's kind of it at a high level. Once again, I didn't really want to super drill down to it. I think GuardDuty is more SOC, Security Operations Center, uh, DevSecOps, Development Operations. Us as GRC, we would get the findings. Work with my friend Angelique with the PMP office, right? And get that out to the development team. Because a lot of times, depending on what it is, we can actually get a finding. People know I do a lot of IRS work. That could be a finding for the IRS if we didn't get it fixed quick enough. They can actually send a findings to the C-suite, telling them we're not having a very active security program. I've seen that before. Actually, I get a little side work by people reaching out for me when they when they have problems with big federal agencies. PBO's not scared, but no, that's it. But once again, you see it right there. It just sends a SNS, just sends out an email. So a lot of times, instead of sending it to me in real life, we would send that to the GRC team email or in the SOC email. It could get sent to a couple people. And two, if that stays out there more than 30 days, maybe this. I work for big organizations. We had a compliance director and a CISO, right? This compliance director worked for the CISO, so it starts escalating. So if we get to a compliance director, if it's out there more than 60 days and it ain't been fixed, that might need to go to the CISO because we might be need to report to the IRS. A lot of times those need to be fixed in 30, 60 days. If we're going to do that longer, we would have to do a POAM and ask permission from our federal agency, once again, be the IRS, DOD, saying we need more time than 60. Here's our compensated controls. A lot of times they want to see a budget that you share. Here's our budget and our resources we're going to put on this particular issue. The stuff I see for that is we need to upgrade a database. Once again, Oracle. It's super expensive to do, and we just didn't have the budget to upgrade to the new advanced security options. So we just had to tell them why we didn't fix it, why we didn't upgrade. Federal agencies, or you especially come from the state, saying you don't have enough money is pretty common. Saying you're gonna put it in a budget and you're gonna do it on next year's budget. They're pretty good about as long as you got compensating controls to actually handle that. So those are the interesting things. So let me. I dropped the link if anybody want to come up. That's pretty much it. I hang out a little longer. Once again, I think it's a service you need to be aware of. GRC. A lot of times, once again, we won't set it up. It'd be DevSecOps, but we need those findings delivered to us because we're going to be responsible for making sure that happens. And once again, working out with my PMP, working out with the project management office a lot of times, because a lot of times we do it in a stovepipe. It's just security. It's just IT. When you work for a large organization, they want to look at it from an organization. So financials going to have their projects. The org, once again, I work for the state. We had our tax organization. So each one of those divisions need resources So you got to prioritize those. So they want to make sure um, have that prioritized for the whole organization and not just IT. So it took me years to get about. I think IT, we're number one. Nah, we don't make any money. So shout out. So from PMO, they're gonna do it from a whole corporate. That's what my man Jim R said. Oh, congratulations! I think it's on. I finally got my junior high last week though from my AW. Sadly, I do very little with. I'm the opposite way. I do a lot more with AWS. I need to get on that AZ. So I just actually passed SysOps, uh, my SysOps for AWS. Um, so I'm thinking about taking my associate architecture probably next month. Then shout out to Study GRC. I got to get on my CISP. I've been going to the study groups. I didn't make it to the one today. I was not feeling well. I got to get it together. PBO getting old, but now shout out to Jim R. Congratulations on Azure. Azure is definitely up there. I think Azure is going to end up passing AWS for market share. I want to say Chris did it. I want to say with 32 to 23%. I need to go look at it. It was something like that, but I think in the next five, I think Azure is going to catch him. So, congratulations to my man Jim R. And I want to appreciate everybody for joining me for a late night with PBO. Like I said, I wanted to just go ahead and knock it out. I am struggling tonight. PBO about to go to bed. I was going to study some tonight, but I can't get it together. Once again, I hang out in a little longer. I appreciate you. One day I'll be a doctor, though. But shout out to the doctors. Shout out to my big discussions. Shout out to my man in the manosphere. There's a bunch of the PhDs in the manosphere, so I definitely want to get those guys out. I have a master's degree, not a doctorate, but I appreciate you, Shango. I thought about getting a doctor, but I waited too long or too late. So I'm just gonna go with what I got and ride it on out. Once again, put your if you have any questions, cybersecurity or IT, put them in the chat. I'll answer them. I'll let it know. Once again, appreciate everybody for joining me. Slowly, I finally passed 4,000 subs, so I'm creeping it up. Let's see who came to join me today. Jim R, glad you could join me. What's up, Jim R? Glad you can join me. I can't hear you, Jim R. I don't know how you got your. There you go. I think.
Hey, what's up, PPO?
What you doing?
Oh, good. Tired.
Yeah, I am. I'm kind of wrapping it up. I think I ate something today. I'm not feeling the best, so I feel
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'm getting too old for this stuff, I'll tell you.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to retire early, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I looked at my 401k. It don't look good. So
No, it's funny because I'll talk to people, like I told you I left the defense government a few years back, moved
Mhm.
out here to Dallas, and I've got people I've known. They've been doing the same thing for years and years. I even have old mainframer friends of mine. They're retiring from mainframe
Oh, yeah.
stuff, and yeah, it's kind of like, hey, I appreciate the steady work, but it's like I can't. Yeah, 30 years of doing the same stuff is a little bit long in the tooth.
No, I'm
I've,
with you. I'm
yeah,
with
but
that.
yeah, but one thing is like, man, it's like I'm to the point. It's like I'm tired of these certifications and everything else. And it's AWS. I work with it a little bit. I used to work with it a lot more, but it's been like years. And actually, about a year and a half ago, I read that the what is it, the Associate Architect book, and I
Mhm.
said, oh, okay, I'll do this stuff, and even spun up some things on the free AWS service, and then I just don't use it because the environments I've been in, either clients or people I've been working with, it's kind of like they're on prem, and then it's like they have an Azure M365 environment, and then they've got some on legacy on-prem development, and then they've got an excuse me, AWS for development, and that's like the
Mhm.
wild, wild west. We don't know what these people are doing out
I
there,
know. I
right?
know.
And then so from a security standpoint, hey, we need to get control of things, and we're starting to get control of the Azure. So it's like, hey, let's go to Azure DevOps, and
Yeah.
try to tool that up. So that's just been my experience, just because it just like led off of the Azure M365 environment. So, but conversely, it's like, man, I really wish I spent more time in AWS. I just haven't, but we'll see.
I don't know. Like you said, it's a lot of both of those out there. So like you said, I'm getting a little better with AWS, and um, like you said, once hopefully I get a little better, then like you said, I need to, because everybody's running Office 365 and everybody's running Active Directory in the cloud, which is AFDS. So
Oh yeah,
Um, so those two, they're gonna run. So then after that, you multi-cloud, and because if you run an Active Directory in the cloud, AFDS, you don't want to log in both. You want to integrate them. So you can take AWS. They have an Active Directory connector, so you can get your credentials from Active Directory and use those when you log into AWS. So that multi-cloud, I think, is the future.
absolutely.
Put your last questions in there. Shout out to my man, definitely one of the day ones, NC worker, for joining me. Put your last questions. PBO gonna wind it on down. He running out of gas today. Then he gotta keep working on his class. He's trying to. It's my course I'm trying to finish. So yeah, it's cool. Happy Hump Day tomorrow. So I want to wish everybody happy Hump Day, and let's get it tomorrow. But
Hey, PBO, you mentioned, I believe, taking your associate architect
mhm.
exam. Are you planning on spinning up some type of study program, or is this just your own personal stuff?
I usually just do my own. Shout out to Study GRC with Chris. They doing a CISP with, so I'm thinking about doing. To be honest, I already have the associate architect, but mine expires in June. I got it 3 years ago. I'm like, oh my god, that 3 years went by quick, and I didn't really do a ton with it. So mine expires in June. So once again, I have him, and the four I have expired in June. So I think I'm just gonna get the associate architect. Um, I might go ahead and get the associate developer, because if you get the associate architect, that's probably 75% of the developer. So I don't know. I probably do all three of them since I'm kind of in the mode of studying. But yeah, I've done the associate architect. It's not too bad. You just got to kind of map it with your on-prem knowledge. So that's kind of what I did. AC2 is a VM. I've done networking, so that's VPC. I've been a DBA, so they have their RDS. So just kind of mapping those and getting that AWS terminology, and that was shared responsibility. Because a lot of times you do it on prem, you're responsible for everything in the cloud. Of course, they have some responsibilities and you have responsibilities. So what does that look like in AWS or Azure? So
Cool.
thanks for joining me, man. I think I'm going to shut it down and go lay back down. I am barely making it. So I appreciate you for coming up, Jim.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I was gonna say a few months ago, boy, it was like we'd keep you on here till like midnight, and it's like now it's yeah, no, it's lately. With me, it's this change of seasons, going from like winter to spring. It's like, yeah, it's just whatever it is, it just takes a lot out of me too.
Yeah, I think I've been trying to walk a little more. So I walked this evening a couple miles, and I think that really wore me out. Like I said, I'm trying to work out a little more. I'm in bad shape. I got to get it going. But once again, I appreciate you for joining me. I appreciate everybody for joining me for the PBO late night. And I think, Jim, once we get back on more than this stuff, I think, we'll go the normal a little longer. I think when I do the AWS stuff, it's just kind of like, okay, we see it. We like it. Yay. So let's see what Sean goes to. What did you say about the AWS architect versus developer? If you get the AWS architect, it's 75% of the developer test. So if you get the AWS certification, when you take the developer certification, the architect is probably 75% of the developer. Because when you do the developer, they don't know if you got the social architect. So a lot of times you talk about once again 3 tiers, EC2, serverless, containers that we were looking at ahead of time. So they kind of spin all that up. Then you talk about 25% of talking about how you developing in those environments and how would you do that. So if you have the AWS architect, that's 75% of the developer certification. Once again, I have all three of those. I have the AWS associate architect, AWS associate developer, AWS associate sysop, and AWS security specialty. Those are the 5 I had, plus the practitioner. Let me know if that answers your question, Shango. So yeah, once again, I do GRC, so I'm just trying to understand the services and from an architect standpoint, how would you architect that from a NIST 800-53 perspective or a CMC or PCI, right? From an IT auditor assessment, I need to figure out how to assessment if you're an architect or if you're a developer, right? You have to assess each one of those environments. SysOp, how are you building it? How are you doing that? So that's kind of why I got them. Once again, from a IT auditor. Shout out to Dr. Ozier. I usually do internal audits where I get companies ready so when the federal audit comes in, they can pass, right? Or these are the things we need to look at from an internal standpoint. So that's kind of one part of the one part of my jobs from different jobs I have, but I usually do an internal auditing. Well, Jim, once again, thanks for joining me. I'm out. You know how to get me. ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. I haven't looked at my email probably in 3 or 4 days, so y'all have to forgive me. I'm a little behind. I'll get to you if you need me. Once again, shout out to the Discords. Check out Study GRC's Discord. Shout out to my man Before the Billions got a Discord. I'm about a 6 or 7 Discords, so PBO works for everybody. Trying to, so you'll see me in a lot of Discord. Once again, I'm out. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Facts. I appreciate everybody for joining me. I appreciate you, security expert. I'm out. Once again, reach out to me if you need anything. You see me in these cybersecurity streets. I'm out. Everybody have a good night and happy hump day tomorrow.